By midday, Julian began the test. To his chief financial officer, he mentioned that an external cybersecurity team would arrive on Thursday. To the head of legal, he claimed the archived files had already been copied by investigators. To human resources, he casually mentioned that Victor's assignment had ended. Each conversation lasted less than 3 minutes. Each version was different. Each person believed they alone had received confidential information. Then they waited. Late that afternoon, Solene returned to the lobby. For the first time in days, she noticed something ordinary. Frank, the elderly security guard, was struggling to lift a heavy delivery box. Without hesitation,
this timestamp doesn't match.
She walked over and helped him.
He's right.
You don't have to do that.
Then who is
Frank
that on the
smiled.
feed?
I've lifted
Someone inside
heavier.
is helping him.
She laughed softly. I know. But you shouldn't have to. Julian watched the exchange from the mezzanine above. It reminded him of the day she had quietly fixed a vending machine no one else cared about. She never looked for recognition. She simply solved problems. That was who she was. And perhaps that was why so many people had underestimated her. Just before closing time, Victor's encrypted phone vibrated. One message. No sender. No number. Only 6 words. Thursday's inspection has been cancelled. Victor's expression changed immediately. Julian noticed. What is it? Victor held up the screen. Julian frowned. But I only told one person about Thursday. Victor nodded slowly. So did I. The room fell silent. They didn't need to compare notes. They already knew. Someone had leaked the information. Someone very close to Julian. Victor reached into his briefcase and removed a personnel file. He placed it on the conference table without saying a word. Julian opened it. His eyes widened. The name staring back at him was someone he had trusted for years. Someone who had attended board meetings. Someone who had signed confidential reports. Someone who had shaken his hand almost every morning. Julian looked up at Victor. You've got to be kidding. Victor's face remained expressionless. I wish I were. Across the table, Solene slowly closed the file. Her voice was barely above a whisper. If we're right, they've been preparing this for much longer than we imagined. Outside the boardroom, the office carried on as usual. Phones rang. Printers hummed. Employees laughed in the corridors. No one realized that hidden among them was the first confirmed traitor. But neither of them knew their hardest chapter of their story had only just begun. Julian stared at the personnel file without speaking. He read the name once, then again, as though repetition might somehow change it. It didn't. Across the table, Victor and Solene remained silent. Neither wanted to be the first to speak. Finally, Julian closed the file. No. His voice was calm. Almost too calm. I've known him for 11 years. Victor didn't argue. I know. He helped build this company. I know. He wouldn't betray Sterling Group. Victor leaned forward. People rarely betray companies. Julian looked at him. They betray people. The file belonged to Andrew Collins, Director of Corporate Administration. He wasn't famous inside Sterling Group. He wasn't one of the executives who appeared in newspapers, but everyone trusted him. He approved visitor passes, managed executive access, controlled building credentials. If someone wanted to enter Sterling Group unnoticed, Andrew was the man who could make it happen. Julian refused to act immediately. I want proof. Victor nodded. So do I. No accusations. No confrontation. No mistakes. Solene spoke quietly. Then we don't investigate Andrew. They both turned toward her. We investigate his decisions. Victor smiled. Exactly. Over the next 48 hours, the 3 of them worked in secret. Victor reviewed 6 years of visitor logs. Julian authorized access without alerting the board. Solene searched for patterns instead of names. Hours became days. Thousands of entries blurred together. Then she stopped scrolling. Victor. He looked over. What is it? She pointed at the screen. Look at these dates. 3 visitor passes. 3 different names. 3 different companies. All approved by Andrew. Each visitor had entered Sterling Group. None had attended a recorded meeting. None had signed in with reception. And none had officially left the building. Victor frowned. Ghost visitors. Solene nodded. Julian felt something tightening in his chest. When Victor checked the records, the first one he paused was 6 years ago. Silence filled the room. The same year Solene's investigation collapsed. The same year Marcus Whitfield quietly rose through the company. The same year Sterling Group nearly signed its first overseas acquisition. Julian whispered, "This didn't start with me." Victor answered softly, "No, it started long before you knew it existed." That evening, Andrew Collins sat alone in his office. He looked tired, older than Julian remembered. His phone vibrated. One message. "They know." His hands began to shake. Another message appeared almost immediately. "Do exactly as you're told." Andrew closed his eyes. For several long seconds he didn't move. Then, with trembling fingers, he deleted every message. The following morning, Julian asked Andrew to join him for coffee. Not in the boardroom. Not in his office. Just coffee. Andrew smiled politely. Of course. As they walked toward the executive lounge, Julian watched him carefully. The man looked nervous. Not guilty. Afraid. There was a difference. And Julian had spent enough years negotiating billion-dollar deals to recognize it. Halfway down the corridor, Andrew's phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen. His face turned pale. Then, without warning, he collapsed. The coffee cup slipped from his hand. It shattered across the marble floor. Employees rushed forward. Someone called for an ambulance. Julian knelt beside him. Andrew's lips moved. Barely. Julian leaned closer. "What is it?" Andrew struggled to breathe, then whispered 3 words. "They have a painful cough," interrupted him. "My daughter." His eyes closed. The corridor fell silent. Julian looked toward Victor. Victor already understood. Andrew was the mastermind. He had been trapped. Someone had been controlling him all along. And now the conspiracy had shown its true face. It wasn't built on loyalty. It was built on fear. But neither of them knew. Neither of them knew the hardest chapter of their story had only just begun. To be continued. Kindly like, comment, and subscribe to our page. By that you don't have to look for us. We come to you.